All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today for our Women Heroes Connect Careers on Track, Opportunities in Transportation and Logistics with Union Pacific. You can go to the next slide. My name's Amy Thomas. I'm the National Director of our Military and Veterans Initiative for the Manufacturing Institute, and I oversee our Heroes Make America program. And I will be your MC for today. So if you could go to the next slide. I just want to do a bit of housekeeping. So all participants are going to be muted during the presentation. As you see, we are recording this event, and we will send it out as part of an event recap to everyone on the call so that you can utilize any resources that are mentioned on the call or anything that you would like to refer back to when we learn about the incredible careers at Union Pacific. You can use the chat feature to ask any questions, share resources, or add to the discussion. So we will have a Q&A session after the panel discussion, but if you have anything that comes up as we're doing the presentation and you have a question, just go ahead and drop it in the chat. If we can answer it in the chat, we will. Otherwise, we will bring it back up as we enter into the Q&A session. So if you can go into the next slide. So we're going to start off today's presentation with a great video. So sit back and watch this great video.
I'm Lakesh Van Zandt. Cool railroad name, they call me LV. The role I'm in as a track supervisor, or rules and compliance team safety trainer. I reach out and communicate with the managers and our leadership and help to keep everyone in compliance. You know, when it comes to safety training and rules and things like that. So that's what I'm proud to be a part of. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy connecting with people. You know, I'm happy that I can move around and try and reach as many employees as I can to bring in the light and bring the vision and try to unify it. And also to remind every employee that we're all important. Because at the end of the day, we all want to win. Stay safe together. Bottom line, safety is first and foremost our priority. I know to focus on rules, policies, and procedures and trying to do things the right way. I don't want anything to happen on my watch. It's about working together. It's about communicating well with each other. It's about making sure we all go home safe to our families. Diversity is a big thing. You know, sometimes people get locked in on just a certain level of diversity. And it's not just about men or women. I mean, I represent the LGBT. The biggest thing is trying to get everyone to understand we all have that same vision. I haven't experienced, you know, a judgment zone or anything like that out here. It's like, hey, we do what we got to do and we keep working. It's not about what you do, what I do, it's what we do together. It can be a challenging job, but look at the big picture. You have to be serious and honest with yourself. Do you want to do this? Because nobody's going to do it for you. When I got here, I didn't see the big picture. I just knew I wanted a good job. Not even at that point knowing it was going to be my career. Constantly growing with the company. The support has been through the roof. We can move around. You can meet so many people. You can go different states constantly. It's a great job, great career, great place to retire from. Man, that's been amazing to me.
Great. Next slide, please. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Kate Betzworth, AVP of Workforce Resources Initiatives at Union Pacific Railroad.
Welcome. This is our second event. And so first of all, thank you to Women Make America and Heroes Make America and the Manufacturing Institute for aiding us in getting the word out on what some of our roles are at Union Pacific. Specifically, we have a goal and a target here at Union Pacific to grow women in our workforce by double by 2030. And so there are many jobs that people are not aware of that are part of the railroad. And so we are excited and encouraged to have this platform, which allows women from across our system who are doing the work to come and talk to you about what that is. And that's what you'll hear through our panel today and through some of the videos and discussions. So we are excited to be here. We are excited for you to hear about the roles that we have, and we will be looking to grow our workforce going into 2030. So again, thank you. Please ask questions as you learn from our team, because we're excited for you all to be here and learn more about the Union Pacific. So before I turn it over, I do want to say thank you once more to Women Make America and Heroes Make America for giving us the virtual platform to share our story. So with that, I do want to cross it over to Isabel Powell to take over.
Great. Thanks, Kate. Thanks for having me on today. I haven't met most of you, but my name's Isabel Powell. I'm based in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I lead the Manufacturing Institute's women's portfolio. We felt like it was important enough to have a full portfolio focused on engaging with women in manufacturing because, as you all know, women are smart and strong and reliable, all qualities that we want in a coworker or a leader. And to be quite honest with you, in past years, manufacturers have really underutilized women. We know women are important for the competitiveness of our country, and I would argue for the competitiveness of companies as well. So my focus is really on connecting women to opportunities within the manufacturing sector. Next slide, please. As a part of the work of the Manufacturing Institute, our overall goal is about inspiring, educating, and empowering the manufacturing workforce of today and tomorrow, which we hope some of you will become a part of in the near future. But I'd add to that, a lot of what we focus on is finding and creating a pipeline of ready and resilient workers, which you all have, I think, great experience and expertise in being ready, willing, and resilient. So I hope by the end of today, you'll realize how beautifully a lot of your past experiences will transition directly into a rewarding and successful career in manufacturing. Next slide, please. So I want to share a few numbers with you all over the next couple slides. The first of which is 2.1 million, which is a pretty significant number. This is the number of jobs that will go unfilled in the manufacturing sector if nothing changes between now and 2030. And the question I get a lot is, where will these jobs go? The reality of that is, if they're not being filled here, they will be filled outside the US, which again impacts our country's global position of strength and also opportunities to have strong families in the US. Next slide, please. A few more numbers for you all to take a look at. Within the manufacturing workforce, 12% of employees are veterans, and half of that are female veterans. So there's a lot of opportunity for growth here. I think the more interesting number to me has been this 29% compared to 47. If 47% of the general workforce is women, why are only 29% of them in manufacturing? I think it's become pretty clear that there is a big misconception about our industry, that it's dark, dirty, and dangerous. And that is just not the case. So it's been a pleasure to work with Union Pacific and others of our partners to really kind of tell the true stories and share the real facts about what manufacturing looks like. Next slide, please. Outside of our, So again, if we can increase the number of women in the sector by just 6%, we will fill 50% of the open jobs that we have, which is pretty incredible. And we know in order to do that, there are a few things that we need to focus on, and you'll hear about them later today. The three biggest hindrances of women joining manufacturing companies is the lack of childcare, the lack of flexibility, and the lack of female role models. So you'll be able to hear from a few of the women in today's program about that flexibility and about them as role models and others that they've seen along the way. And hopefully it opened your eyes to see that there is room for you here to have a rewarding and fulfilling job. Next slide. Outside of our work directly with Union Pacific, I want to touch on a few different programs that the Manufacturing Institute has in place to support women. The first of which is our annual Women Make Awards, which recognizes 130 women leading the industry. This is an opportunity to celebrate their contributions, to recognize them as examples for the next generation, and for them to pass the baton to those up and coming rising stars in the sector. The second are our Women Connect events. This is a good example of one today where you can learn about specific companies, roles, and benefits within manufacturing. We also host some of these regionally in person. So I know UP is hosting one in Minneapolis next week, and you can find them around the country. So hopefully in your neck of the woods soon. The third program is our 35 by 30 campaign. Similar to UP, we have a goal to increase the number of women in the workforce and manufacturing up to 35% by 2030. So this campaign is hopefully speaks to you all as we see it as a way to recruit capable, competent, and confident women into the sector. And I've got one more slide about a program I'd like for you all to consider. We have a Women Make Mentorship program as a part of the campaign that I just mentioned to increase the number of women in manufacturing. We just hit our 400th mentor with a goal to hit 1,000. So we are well on our way. And that feedback and interest tells us that there really is a hunger from women to connect with other women in similar roles or in potentially similar roles. So I'm happy to drop my contact information in the chat. If this is something you'd like to explore, happy to connect you with other women as a mentor or a mentee, whatever fits best for the position that you're in right now. So I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Reach out to me if you have any questions after. And Amy, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Isabel. Lots of excited things going on in our Women Make program. I wanted to talk just a little bit about our Heroes Make America program. For those of you, I know we have many of our Heroes Make America participants on today, but for those of you outside of our Heroes Make America classes, we'll tell you a little bit about the program. If you could go to the next slide, Lauren. Our Heroes Make America program has many different pathways to engage, to really connect the military community with the manufacturing industry. What I'll highlight today is our SkillBridge training program. So we are an approved Department of Defense SkillBridge training partner. We have in-person training and we have virtual training. Our in-person training is at Fort Riley in Kansas, Fort Cavazo, Texas, Fort Liberty, North Carolina, and Fort Stewart, Georgia. So if you're around any of those locations and you're interested in taking a free industry recognized certification course, we have those courses for you. Our program is open to transitioning service members, Guard, reservists, veterans, and active duty military spouses. We also have a 100% remote virtual training in production as well. So anyway, no matter your location, if you're interested in earning some industry recognized certifications to get you into the manufacturing industry, we train in production, logistics, and mechatronics. Mechatronics being your more advanced maintenance training. So those are our training programs across the country. If you could go to the next slide. We do have an incredible placement rate. So of our Heroes Make America graduates, we have placed in 48 states with over 350 companies. So you can see here our placement across the country. The colors show the different levels of placement, but one part of the Heroes program is really increasing your knowledge of these great careers, like careers at Union Pacific across the country, that are rewarding careers that are great paying. So as you can see there, our average wages are around $73,000, and that's our average salary, and our average wage is around $24 an hour. So coming into the Heroes program can help you get connected to these great careers out in the industry. Next slide. One way that we do that is our brand new resume distribution to employers. This goes out monthly to employers. So if you're interested in this free service, you can increase your visibility and exposure. You can scan that QR code with your phone and upload your resume. We will send a copy of this presentation out in the recap. So you'll also have that there. And we could also put the link in the chat. If our Heroes team could put the link in the chat, if anybody's interested in uploading their resume, we will help you with that as well. And I've also highlighted here a few of the women that have come through our training programs that are off and running and doing great things. So next slide, please. That's a little bit about our Heroes program. So right now we are going to launch our first poll question. So if you could take a minute to answer this question, we'll see some live stuff going across the screen here. So we'll get a gauge on where our audience is and your knowledge of working with the railroad. Got about half of you there. Give it another couple of seconds here. All right, Renee. I think I just closed that. There we go. All right. And so next slide, please. So now we're going to go into another couple of videos real fast to talk about these great careers.
I'm a machine operator for Union Pacific Railroad. I work on the 8501. We're a perf gang and working on concrete, mostly running machines and laboring. Come to work, we get ready, and we have our job briefing here. They go over everything, all our safety concerns, what our protection is going to be. We get on the bus, we travel to our work site, then we'll go out, we'll start tearing apart the track and putting it together. It's a real big team effort. You're doing anything from cutting the rail with a machine, swinging a hammer. You can be flipping plates, you can set plates. From the moment you take out the rail to the moment you're putting it in, you're doing something. It's a really varying kind of position. We live in hotels. I actually have an RV that we will bring out, me and my husband, because we're a team out here. You're away for a really long time, like the 8 days on, 6 off. But when I know I'm home, I'm home. This traveling around, I honestly just think it's what you make it. If you're staying in a big city, you have the time to go out and do things. We just got out of a snowy weather area, Quincy, California, and I look around, I'm in these hills, and I'm like, so many people who are not going to see this ever. You can't see it from the road. You can't see it from the sky. It's just, you're in this hill and you're just like, wow, this is beautiful, you know? You just go everywhere. And that's the fun thing about it. The people also really help. They're your work family. Working on the railroad as a woman, I don't think it's different than any other job. I don't think you really have to walk in with the experience, because I didn't have any experience. You know, if you want to do it, do it. Nothing's holding you back other than you. Willing to learn something new, willing to put in a little travel, and you want to have something that you're able to provide for yourself, a good job, a good future, good retirement. This is the place. I honestly feel this is a place, and anybody can do it. And I love my job.
Hey, Lauren, if you want to go to the next slide.
I have been at Union Pacific Railroad for a year now. I'm an assistant signalman, and my job duties are a big variety. I'm actually the truck driver, so I drive the boom truck, and that consists of loading houses, cabins, signals onto it. I also run the crane off of it, so I get to set houses, set signals. I also do some wiring in the cabins, help run cable, dig ditches, lay cable. I'm on a signal construction gang. We started off just setting houses. Now we're going back, we're working on a control point right now. So a control point has switches and signals to make sure everybody's safe on the track. I'm on a fairly big gang right now. There's 7 people. Everybody kind of has what they're good at. And then we got another assistant on the gang, and I'm kind of able to show him the things that I know. And that's really rewarding, is being able to show somebody else what you learned. Before I came out to Union Pacific, I was a pharmacy technician. I live on a small hobby farm, so I'm used to hard work. I'm a daughter of a railroader, and I've always been around it because it is hard work, but it's fun. You're not always stuck in the same place, which is something that I really wanted. My previous job, you did the same drive to the same building with the same people, and here you get to see different places. It's a very rewarding job. You can be very proud of your work and learn a lot of things, get to see a lot of places, work with a lot of great different people, and to be able to be proud of my work and work that other people are going to see. This company has a history of growing and advancing. I'm most excited to see where I could possibly go. There's always different avenues to take, so I want to learn everything I can here and then see where I can advance my career.
Thank you. All right, next. So I'm going to turn it back over to Kate to talk a little bit and dive a little bit deeper into these careers.
All right, thanks, Amy. So you can advance to my first slide. Okay, I'm going to set here the reason that we're talking today about our engineering roles is, I like to say they're the backbone of what we do. Our trains can't move unless we've got the rails, secure rails to work on. So it's the bed of the rail. If you can go to the next slide, that means there has to be maintenance and rehabilitation on 32,000 miles of trackage. That also says there are signals to ensure the community is safe, to ensure that our train crews are safe. And so from that framework, we have to make sure that we are increasing the number of women that we have and help people understand what the work is related to these roles. You hear the term track labor and signal maintenance is because that's what you're going to see on our website when you go to apply for the roles. But I stand between you and actually hearing from women that do the work. So I'm going to quickly fly through 2 slides, and then we're going to turn on to let you talk to some of the women that actually do this work day in and day out. So go to the next slide for me, if you would. All right, I just want to tell you a little bit about the track laborer. So that's one of the roles that we have on our engineering side of the craft. I do want to make sure that everybody knows you can manufacture stuff, but unless you have transportation to actually move it, it doesn't do anybody any good. So that's how the transportation jobs are lined up with the Manufacturing Institute. The responsibility of the track labor is to make sure that we're constructing new rail, we're actually rehabilitating the rail. That could be in where you saw Megan's, more like in the assembly line where we're rehabilitating, or way back to LV's where we're actually day in and day out making sure that we have the structure of the rail in a smaller geographical space ready for the movement of the trains. We often get asked about the physicality of the role. You saw that in some of the video. You're going to be grinding and prepping well, you're going to be cutting rail, you're going to be distributing track materials, but you can see that there's also a lot of help and coordination from the team members to get that done. What about the lifestyle, right? So welding is helpful. What I would suggest to everyone, if you're looking at coming into one of these roles, read what the qualifications and preferences are. You don't need any knowledge. You will hear from our team that we go in and we train you, first of all, with 2 weeks and then on the job training. And then from there, your teams are going to help you grow and learn, and you'll hear that from the team. You could work in 2 sides of track. You could work on the regional side, which is a day shift, which has occasional overtime, or you could work on our system gang, like you heard Megan, which she's on 8 days at the work site and then 6 days at home. It is a union-based, seniority-based placement system, but I will tell you, and this is what you will hear from all of the women, is they have had different roles throughout their career, and you will see the longevity of that. I tell you that because we always lead with great compensation and benefits, and we do have that. So that's on the track labor side. Let's do a quick switch over to the signal side. Okay, so when you're looking at the signal side, think of the crossing bars coming down, thinking about where we have to make sure that we know who's occupying which part of the track. We're either going to be constructing that from new or rehabilitating what we have. So from the physicality, you saw Tommy's day in the life video where we're putting up the signal mast. We're making sure that we have the wires connected to ensure that the signals are working. You're moving around and working as a team to put that installation in. You get to operate a crane. There's a lot of different points, but you can see yourself in that work. The lifestyle when you get started is a 2-year apprenticeship. So Tommy will tell you kind of where she's at on that point of the cycle. And then you do work as you start, 8 days on and 6 days off, but Lainey will tell you about her career succession and how that's changed along the way. This is a different union for us, but it is also seniority-based placement. And before I hand it off, I just want to make sure you all know that there is great compensation and benefits that come with that. So we would love for you to take a look after you hear more from the women. So that's all I have, and we can swing it to the next, Amy.
Awesome.
Go out to up.jobs.
Okay, thank you. We're going to advance the next slide. All right, so now we are going to pin our panel. We'll have a panel discussion where you can actually meet the women in the videos and hear a little bit about the day in life right from them. So I will turn it over to Jill Place, Director of Track Maintenance, to start our panel discussion. And Renee, if you could pin the rest of the speakers, that would be great.
Perfect. Good afternoon, everyone. As she said, my name is Jillian Place. I am a director of track maintenance. I am currently located in Chicago and oversee what we would call our commuter division. So I oversee the team that works and maintains all of our assets that the trains need to run. So we've got the track, the signal, a little bit of bridge and buildings as well under my folds. So I've been with the railroad 13 years and have kind of seen everything across the system, but mostly all on the management side. So I'd like to introduce our panel this morning or this afternoon. Tammy, you want to kick us off?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. My name is Tammy Pelkey. I've been with Union Pacific for about a year and 8 months now. I am an assistant signalman. So like the video and everything said earlier is you have a 2-year apprenticeship, so I'm just about done. I've been through 3 of my schoolings, so I have 1 more to go and then I'll get my signalman's date. We have a lot of stuff that we do out here, so every day it's something different. You don't know if you're going to be learning how to run a backhoe or plowing cable, if you're going to be doing cleanup after a cutover. A lot of the days I do operate the boom, the crane off the boom, so I'm picking up cabins or switches, standing signal masts, putting up heads on the signals, wiring junction boxes for switches, adjusting switches. There's just a big variety of what we're doing, and my gang is currently working in Shreveport, Louisiana right now.
Perfect. Thanks, Tammy. Tammy, you want to go next for us?
Hello, my name is Tammy Chandler. I am a flagging foreman for Union Pacific. What I do is I work with contractors that pick up after Megan's gang 8501. Once they lay the rail, we pretty much come behind them and clean up all the plates and all the old rail. So basically we clean up all the scrap. I have been with Union Pacific for going on 4 years. I really enjoy what I do. I love my job here. I also work 8 on, 6 off. My son is in the Marines and he is getting out this year. Actually, he'll be home pretty soon. It's pretty great. He is planning on joining Union Pacific to work with us out here. I think it's a great place for you to work. If you enjoy traveling, get to see the world. I get to see a lot of stuff. I typically, when I get off work, I'll go explore the area that I'm in. So I'll go cave diving or I'll go spelunking through caves or whatever I can get myself into, I'll go do it.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Appreciate that, Tammy. Megan, did you get a chance to get back on?
I sure did. Sorry about that.
Okay. No worries. Go ahead.
I'm Megan Taylor. I'm going to be going on almost 13 years with the railroad, and I work in front of Tammy, actually taking out the rail that she's picking up on the 8501 curve gang, and I operate a clipper to clipper. We actually replace the rail on wood and concrete, so it depends on what we're doing. I can be running a different machine, and I can start one day running a spike puller and ending the day running the heater car. But I love my job. I also have a child in the military. My son, he is a corpsman with the Navy, with the Marines. So I don't know where he's going to go afterwards, but yeah. But it's great. I do the same thing as Tammy does, go explore the area, because we run through towns you've never even heard of. So me and my husband, we go do that, go bowling and check out local stuff.
Perfect. Thank you, Megan. Lanny, you want to finish this up?
Sure. So hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. So my name is Lainey Wooden. I have been with Union Pacific going on 16 years. I started out like Tommy as an assistant signal person and advanced up to a signalman. My current role is a signal safety supervisor. So I did previously work 8 on, 6 off, and now I'm back to a 5-day work week. My current role is I travel all over the system where we have gangs like Tommy's working, and basically safety and compliance. I go out, make sure that everyone has their PPE, that they're following rules and procedures. If there's any training, I also do CPR training, and basically just make sure that they have what they need safety wise to complete their job, and assist them with rules and things like that kind of keep them on track and compliant as the weeks and that they're working. So again, prior to coming to the railroad, I was a firefighter, EMT. I still hold that in the state of Texas. I'm currently working out in Monahans, Texas. I travel all over the system. So last week I was in the Fort Worth area. This week I'm in Monahans. Next week I'll be out towards Shreveport. The week after that I'll be in Omaha, Nebraska. So as you can see, there, like everyone has said, there's a lot of traveling involved, and really that's the best part of the job, I think.
Perfect. I appreciate that. Okay, let's dive into a few questions to share our insight of the railroad. Specifically, a lot of people have a hard time learning about the railroad, so I'm glad everybody's on the panel or with us today to hear a little bit about that. So let's look into where got you started with the railroad. So tell me, what really excited you about this manufacturing transportation industry, and how were you introduced to the industry? What brought you here?
So I am actually a second generation railroader. My dad started the year before I was born. So all my life, all I've known is railroading. I've got to hear everything. We started out in California, and he did anything from signal inspector. He was foreman. He was an assistant like I am now. So I was just around it, and I never thought that I'd want to railroad. And I became a pharmacy technician after I graduated high school. And I was like, this is just, it's boring, and I don't like going to the same place and doing the same thing. And I love to climb ladders. So I had the opportunity after my pharmacy got raided by the FBI to apply for the railroad. And I got the interview, and I started out in Houston, Texas. And the first week I fell in love with it. I learned so much. I learn every day. I get to see different people in different places, and it was just great.
Didn't want to follow in the footsteps, but you had to almost, right?
Yes, yeah.
Perfect. Megan, what was your background? What brought you into the railroad with us?
Well, my background is actually working at the bank. So I traded high heels for steel-toed boots, I like to say. I was also a volunteer firefighter at the time in my small little town of Weiser, Idaho. And I had a couple fellow firefighters that were gone every other week, and I'm like, where are they going every other week? And then they come back and they're working, and they told me, well, we work at the railroad and we have every other week off basically. And I was like, that beats having every weekend off, because you're actually able to do a little bit more. So that's actually what brought me to the railroad, was the time off, the travel, and I was single at the time, and the retirement, and I was looking to support myself with my own means, and the railroad provides that for me.
Perfect. Definitely lots of benefits. Okay, let's talk about the physical abilities that you're going to need for these jobs. That's always one of the questions, especially when the females ask about what we can do. So Lanny, you've got a very diverse experience. Tell us a little bit more about the physicality of the role and the considerations you want to share with the future track and signal maintenance members.
Well, talking from an assistant to a signalman aspect of the job, as I mentioned before, prior to coming to the railroad, I was a firefighter. EMT, of course, that's a very physical and demanding role. However, prior to that, I did work for the electric and gas industry for 16 years. So, coming to this role, I knew nothing about the railroad. When I came, and kind of like what Megan just mentioned, I actually had a friend who worked for the railroad, and he mentioned it, and I was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm going to put in for it. Knew not what to expect. And when I came into the railroad, it is very physically demanding, lots of outside time. You're working in all different types of weather, from cold to windy to rainy to snow. So you get to see all of those different weather and patterns. However, the good part of that is it's not something that if you think that it's too physically demanding, get that completely out of your mind, because I will tell you that if I can do it, anyone can do it. I've seen all walks of life be able to step in and work in the signal department, and without any physical disabilities or thinking, oh gosh, I can't pick up a shovel or turn a screwdriver or barrel wrench or anything like that. So although the work can be physically demanding, it is very doable. And I like the aspect, kind of like what Tommy was talking about, is that every day is different. You're not necessarily performing the same task, but willing to learn new tasks. And that is a really, I think it's one of the pluses of our jobs, is that we're always wanting to learn something new. Definitely taking initiative. As long as you have that initiative, it's easy to progress in this job and learn new tasks. And I think that's kind of what we're looking at as far as physicality. So.
Okay, perfect. Megan, do you have anything to add to that, especially since going from the banking role to being the physical demanding roles that we have out here?
Everything that Lanny says, I have to agree with. It can be a very physical job. I mean, I swing a hammer quite a bit, but you just got to know your limitations. But everybody has limitations, and we all respect that, and that's why we're a team and a family out here. And that's one thing, is everybody's doing it with you. You're not the only one sweating and getting blisters on your hands, So yeah, but Lainey pretty much nailed it on the nose.
Perfect. And then to add to that is, again, the team members portion of it, but we are progressing in the industry and adding more tools and resources when we're doing jobs. We're trying to find lighter tools or different tools to share as well. So we are progressing to even get better with that as well. Just thought we'd share a little bit on that as well. So, okay, let's move into the next question. Lenny, you've got the experience a little more of a lot over multiple years. So I'm going to task you with this question. So how have you had, or how's the culture of equality when it comes to the different agreement levels at the railroad? What's that like, that culture of equality?
As far as going back to 16 years ago when I started for the railroad, like I said, I had no idea of what that and what this big picture looked like. As far as equality, I was accepted when I came into my gang. I worked with 8 men. When I came into the railroad, I knew no other women. We have had several women that I've met along the way come and go. Tommy currently works in my organization. So it's nice to have that other female, I guess, in it, and the way, but really the way that it's looked upon is kind of like, I think Megan or Tammy mentioned it earlier, is, women in the industry, as long as you're out there, you're showing the initiative, you're wanting to learn, the guys treat you, they treat you like you're one of their sisters. And kind of like Megan mentioned earlier, is, we're family. And I like that aspect, because I think I told this one other time, when I'm out on the road for 8 days by myself, my gang, my brothers, those are the guys that I had to depend on. If I wanted to go out, like the other women suggested, and venture around, sometimes I did that on my own. But I would call them, one of them, let them know, hey, I'm going to go out and do some exploring and things like that. But it's nice to see that we're wanting to increase the women percentages in our business, because I know, like I said, when coming to the railroad, knew nothing about the railroad. I was like, really? Women work on the railroad? I never had seen that before. But to know that we are in fact here living it, we're doing it and doing a really good job at it, because I think we have that attention to detail. I think that's appreciated in a lot of our roles and responsibilities that we have on the railroad.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, Tommy, I'm going to quiz you since you're the newest one on the panel to our organization. So when you look back on when you're coming towards us, what specific skills have you used or realized that translated from your previous career? So what should other people have in their toolbox before they come to the railroad when it comes to experiences or skills?
Well, being a pharmacy technician, I also grew up on a hobby farm, so I was in 4-H and FFA. So I knew how to drive like tractors and do things like that. So that kind of helped on my equipment side. But just having the willingness and wanting to listen and learn. The hardest thing out here is getting somebody to want to teach you every single thing. And if you show that, hey, I'm here, I want to learn this craft, I want to be the best that I can, so you go home safe, so I go home safe, so that your brother or sister crossing those tracks at a crossing, everybody gets home safe. That's really what it is listening. You learn all your other skills and you build muscle by doing the job every day. But as long as you're willing to learn and put everything else to the side and learn this craft, that's all you really need out here.
Very true. Very true. Let's talk a little bit about the future of the industry. Tammy, what do you see is the future of our industry for newcomers?
I don't see a problem or anything with more women being in the industry. I know there's probably fears out there. You're working around a whole bunch of men all the time, but like Megan and Lanny said, they're our family. We work in some sketchy areas sometimes, and I've been in on a couple gangs, and the guys are like, "You don't go anywhere without us." So as far as I can see, I don't see any issues with more women joining. I encourage it. I think it would be great. And coming from the military, you've probably been around the same kind of situations we're around all the time, unexpected things happening. I think our industry would be great with more women in it.
Very much so. Very much so.
Is that what you were asking?
No, that'll work. That's perfect.
Okay.
Nope, that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick lightning round. So this question is gonna be for all four of you. So give me a short, quick sentence for each one. So we'll kind of go round robin. So first question I have is, what is your favorite part of the job? And Tammy, since I'm looking at you, I'm gonna let you go first.
My favorite part of the job is working for 8 straight days and then being home for 6 days, so I can do whatever I want for those 6 days and hang out with my boys and have a great time. And I get to explore everywhere that you don't get to go unless you're on the railroad.
Very cool. Very cool. Okay, Megan, you want to go next for that one?
Yeah, mine is the same. Travel. I'm a history buff, so I like going around and exploring all the new places that I get to learn the history of, and the time off and be able to spend that with my family uninterrupted.
And I know both of them said that, but I would say some people would think that's almost a fear of that travel, right? So there are opportunities to not be on that travel system or that schedule as well. So don't think just because these two are doesn't mean we don't have opportunities to stay local and stay working in a regional aspect as well. So, okay, let's go to the signal side. Tammy, what's your favorite part?
My favorite part, besides what they said, is I learn something new every single day. And also, I don't have to just stay here in the railroad. You can keep climbing that ladder as far as you want to go.
Yeah, unlimited. You get a chance to control your future. Okay, Lanny.
Well, I'm going to take the route that Tommy just took, and upon, based on what all of they said, those are my favorite things as well. But really is providing a great financial stability for me. The insurance is great. The benefits are excellent. I couldn't really be happier in the positions that I've held in Union Pacific. But ultimately, it's just providing for my family and knowing that I have a secure future financially.
Very much so. Okay, second lightning question. What has been your biggest challenge so far with your UP career? Let's go reverse order. Lainey, you get to go first on this one.
So my biggest challenge, I think just really the uncertainty when I first came to the railroad, and just, really kind of proving myself. And once everyone saw that I had just as much passion, the ability to learn, and the initiative, like I said, you fit right in. And that's now when I see the guys and gals that I go around and visit, it's like old times, and we get to sit around and chit chat and talk about, the days that were and what it looks like in the future. So those were my challenges in the very beginning. So.
Okay, I gotcha. Okay, Tommy.
I'm gonna go a little bit of a different way. Finding a good pair of boots that meet the requirement was really hard for me.
That's funny. So yep, every job has their required PPE in that sense. So I will say we could the manufacturers could do a better job at getting us more options, right, for the female side. But
yeah, very much so.
I appreciate that. Okay, Tammy.
For me, when you're young on the railroad, as they say, sometimes it's harder to maybe hold a job. But on the upside of that is if you don't like where you're at, you can bid something new. So you can always move around.
Okay, yeah, opportunities. Okay, and Megan.
I was going to say my biggest challenge was myself because, you know, it was just a new thing and I didn't realize I could actually do all the stuff the guys were doing and just as well, sometimes if not better, because I'm always out to prove myself. But I would have to also say the boots and the gloves, always finding them small enough for us.
I think those are things we can work on overcoming. Those are seems pretty easy challenges. So no, I appreciate that. So that's really all I have for my panel. I'd like to take the opportunity to really open it up to anyone that's on the call today. If you have anything specific questions for specific panelists or as a general question for any of us. Don't be shy. More than welcome to ask questions.
We'll stop sharing real quick and bring everybody back up in case anybody has any questions here.
Okay, so I saw one in the chat. Do you get paid days off? Who wants to jump on that one?
I'll take it.
Yes.
I mean,
Go for it, Lanny. I heard you first.
Well, I mean, how our schedule works. So you work 8 days. You work 8 days on, so that's 80 hours. So basically 2 weeks. So the 6 days that you're off, those are your days. So, you know, other than that, paid days off, holidays, that sort of thing, absolutely. If that's in fact what you're asking, does anybody else have anything that they want to add to that?
So seniority, you earn your vacation days. So you come in with a lower amount, and then obviously it's more seniority and the more years you have with us. That will continue to grow in the number that you have earned at that level. So yes, sick days, holidays, and vacation days, all different paid days off. Anybody else?
Hey, Jill, I have a question. This is Amy. We've heard that, you know, we had a pharmacy tech, we had a banker. I mean, clearly, like, you don't have to have grown up in the railroad industry to find a role for there. So is there a time where there's like on the job training as you come on before you're released into your role?
Yeah. Tell me, you take that one since you're the earliest or the newest hire.
Sorry, it broke up a little bit. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so like your background coming from the pharmacy that was unfortunately raided by the FBI and you came into the railroad industry. Did you have on the job training to help you kind of learn your career better before you were, you know, turned loose to travel? Do you get partnered with somebody to train you on that?
No, so you get you go and they fly you for an orientation class, and they kind of go over a broad spectrum of everything, and you're crane certified and you're safety bucket certified, and you go through all your certifications, but it's all on the job training. I took particularly to one signalman on my gang, and he helped train me to drive the boom truck, and I really recommend everybody getting their CDLs. It's so helpful to be able to drive the boom truck. But other than that, it's all been on the job training, and the more interest you show and the more questions you ask, the more you learn.
I hear you guys saying gang a lot. That is your team that you work with, right?
Yes.
Yes, correct. Yep.
Oh, wow. Looks like we have some questions in the panel. So, wow, they're coming in crazy now. What are your entry level? What is a typical, now the pay, we probably can't get into that on the entry level pay, but the locations were back on the map that Kate that Kate shared earlier, which you guys will get in the presentation, but is there specific locations for these roles, or is it just throughout Union Pacific?
So that's a really easy one. So really anywhere on the map. So the 23 states west of the Mississippi, from Chicago all the way to California, from the border to the south border. So we're everywhere. That we don't touch the Dakotas. So unfortunately, if your heart's in North Dakota, then that won't work. But other than that, we got a lot more other opportunities. So everywhere on the map.
Well, that leads us to our next one. It said they're currently in Kansas, but expect to move to Washington. Can you be transferred within the company for the same position?
Yeah. So Tammy, you're shaking your head. Go for it.
Yes, you can. You can definitely be transferred. I live in Klamath Falls, Oregon, and I actually started as a welder in St. Paul, Minnesota on district, which is a local job. So yeah, I got hired on all the way over there, and I stayed over there for a good 4 months, and then I transferred back over to Oregon.
Okay, great. One of the next questions was, how do you tell the difference between jobs that are 8 days on and 6 days off in regards to job postings? Do you apply and mention the schedule at the interview, or are they specific to the job posting?
Yeah, they should be specific to the job posting. Kate, I'm not the one that actually posts them, so I don't know how the exact titles are, but it should tell you if it's a regional. That would be something that has a headquarters and you're working out of a headquarter location. If it is considered a system gang, like most of our panel, those are the ones that would then work the 8 on, 6 off, and then travel the country, because they would cover the entire system of our railroad.
And let me add, as you come in, so Tammy came in on a regional type, district type job, and then was able, through bids that are open to her, once she comes in, she was able to transfer and do other work that puts her on the 8 and 6. So it can transition throughout your livelihood and time span at Union Pacific. Right in the door, though, the high likelihood that you're going to see on the signal side is starting on the 8 and 6. The job that you will see the most of from us is assistant signal person role. And that role is the role that Tommy holds, which is on the gang side. On the track side, you could have a variety, but you most likely will see the regional role first, but have the capability to transition if that is where your heart is at over time.
And can I add something to that?
Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, what I did is I applied for probably 10 different positions in 10 different states. So don't be afraid to do that. If you're out there and you're worried about, well, I live way over here, like I said, you can transition back to your home. They originally want you to stay there, of course, and you never know. I liked Minnesota. I would have moved there. I really enjoyed the atmosphere there, but I was able to catch a bid back home, so I went back.
Okay, great. We've got time just for maybe one more dual question here. So can you talk about a couple of the benefits from Union Pacific with the careers, and then maybe the timeline on the hiring process?
Anybody got volunteers, benefits? Lenny, you want to take it?
Well, if we're talking about insurance benefits and things like that, we have 401k. We have, they company match up to 6%. We have dental, vision, medical. We have, I guess, discounts through some of our vendors that use our rail lines, and just retirement is exceptional. It's really good. If you're married and have a spouse, there's benefits to that. If I'm missing something, Kate, am I missing anything else? Okay. So yeah, I mean, they're all great benefits. So.
Awesome. And then the typical timeline for the hiring process, does it take a few weeks, or what does that typically look like, if anybody knows that?
So I'll
Mine
take it.
was,
Oh,
go ahead. Nope.
Nope, Tommy, give them your
Mine-
experience. That's perfect.
Mine
Yep.
was really short. I pretty much got an interview, then to Minnesota for my interview, and before I even got on the plane when I left, they had already offered me a job, and then it took like a couple weeks, and then I was out working after I did my 2 weeks of training.
Wow, great. Love to hear that. Go ahead.
Mine from 16 years ago, it was about 2.5 months
Okay.
from the time I interviewed to the time that I actually started.
Okay.
I think Tommy wanted to jump in there. Tommy, did you want to jump in and give your experience?
Oh, well, I was just gonna say the interviewing, like applying, and then you do questions afterwards, and then you get your interview, and then they let me know that day. But the longest part for me is you actually have to go and do a physical and an abilities test to make sure that you can meet the physical requirements. And since I live in such a rural part, it took a while to be able to get there and do that before I could be flown out to my orientation.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It sounds like there's the careers are out there, they're plentiful, and we've got the right people to get in touch with here. I want to move to our final video. Lauren is going to share her screen. We'll go into our final video, and we have another quick poll question, and then we'll wrap it up. But make sure that you check the chat because there's all the different contacts there to get in touch with Union Pacific. But let's show our final video here. Go ahead, Lauren.
This is not just a job, it's a career. And if you're willing to do the work, it's here. You know, the money is here, the jobs are here. And I mean, it's just opened just so many opportunities for me. It's fulfilling. I love what I do.
UP had a position for me that I was able to learn my craft, I'm able to excel in my craft, and feel that I actually have met the mark in my life.
We're building trains, we're getting cars together, we're lacing air hoses, we're doing stuff, but we forget that we're really transporting so much commodities. I mean, chemicals, food. That's a big value that we do for the economy and stuff.
For all the females that are out there afraid of giving it a try, go ahead and do it because it is possible.
We say building America, like we actually building to make America better. There's so much that you can do besides being a conductor, being an engineer, building freight. I believe that anybody can do it, even if you feel like you can't. I guarantee you that you can. I feel proud about that working here.
I've had the opportunity to meet some of the most phenomenal women. There is a spot for you at UP. Find yourself seeking out what it is that UP have for you to be successful in your journey.
Great. We are going to launch now into our poll questions, our final poll questions. So we'll get those launched up. We've got 4 questions here. So if you could quickly run through those questions. Hopefully people are seeing that come up on their screen. Here we go. All right, while we're wrapping up on those poll questions, I just want to thank everyone for joining us today. I hope you learned a lot about these amazing careers at Union Pacific. We have dropped in the chat more ways to get in touch with the Union Pacific folks if you're interested in careers or just have any additional questions. But at this time, you'll see there on the screen, if you'd like to get in touch with Kate, there's her email address, or if you have questions about our Heroes Make America or Women Make America programs, email us at institute@nam.org, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Thank you to Union Pacific for hosting this wonderful event, and thank you to all of our panelists talking about your wonderful careers and what you do at Union Pacific. And I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your afternoon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Amy. Thanks, ladies.